So, welcome to another edition of Awesome Aussies. Today I have with me Shakti Grace, who is the holistic chef from Australia. And we met first online through Instagram and through mutual love of healthy eating and healthy living and loving each other's photos. We then connected when I was over in Australia in March, when I went to Sydney and had a really kind of unexpected, beautiful evening together when you collected me from the airport. So, welcome, Shakti.
Thank you very much, beautiful Rhiannon.
So, it was such a kind of, the universe really put us together in the right place at the right time and organised our restaurant for the evening, and everything fell into place.
No, it really did, and it was very much, it felt very guided, didn't it, that afternoon? I happened to be in Sydney, and I happened to be able to be near the airport at the right time, and I happened to know the owner of the restaurant that everybody recommended on Facebook and got us in, and it happened to be really in alignment with what it is that you do and what I do. So, yeah, it was very, very special, and I was really, really grateful that we connected.
Oh,
so,
absolutely, yeah. It was just the best start to an evening in a new city where I didn't know where I was going or anyone, it was perfect. Thank you.
Oh, always.
So, being the holistic chef, obviously you create incredible dishes that at its core has kind of health benefits and superfood things. But you also have your Superfood Blend, and I thought perhaps you might want to share a little bit more about how that came about and what's in it and what people can get from it.
Sure. Shall I show you some?
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't have any sachets in here. It comes in a sachet as well. I just have it stuck on the thing. The sachets are 1 serve, and then it also comes in a 100-gram or 10-day supply. And this is actually one of the original jars from the first run that I've kept for posterity. And it comes in a 400-gram size. And actually, these original jars actually have a little message to someone really special to me that helped me develop it. So this is kind of like a collector's item now.
Definitely.
So yeah, the product Shakti Superfood Blend came about, in all honesty, by accident. I had started before I even started the business, I'd come back from living overseas for a really long time and working on yachts all over the world, and on big, yachts, private yachts of the wealthy and not so famous, and sometimes famous. And I had done a rock and roll tour. I'd worked on the Pearl Jam tour, and it was so incredibly soul-destroying and just ridiculous that I decided that I was going to basically not work until I came up with something that was more aligned with what I believe in. And in that process, I happened to find superfoods or find spirulina, and very quickly I started to play with recipes and get my sister, who's 16 years older than me, to start taking it every day, and then friends wanted to take it, and then it just kept evolving, and I was making it and giving them in glass jars, and people kept saying, well, can you put it in plastic so we don't break it? And I was like, okay. And then I met a beautiful man who was also working in this field and selling these individual ingredients. He introduced me to this Bee Pollen, which is just amazing, and I added it to the blend. And next thing you know, I met a lovely girl that helped me with my branding, and the labels came about, and then sort of like very quickly after that, I found out that I could get it blended legally, like in a facility, so it meets all of the codes, and the recipe was tweaked, and that was it. And it all happened really, really within about, from the time that this particular recipe happened to the time it was produced was probably only even 6 months.
Wow.
It was very rapid, and I was lucky because Paul was really supportive and helped me access the wholesalers and access the ingredients, and it was very much a guided process.
Brilliant.
So that's how it came about, and very quickly it became the thrust of everything that I do, because I realised I was seeing all the people that had been taking it from the very beginning, how anecdotally they were telling me how good they felt.
Yeah.
And I noticed a change in myself, of course. So I sort of went on this fast track of learning about superfoods, and all I did was read and listen to podcasts and go and meet David Wolfe, and just all I did 24/7. It was like when I first started cooking, I'd read cookbooks for fun. This is what I did, just downloaded information, and then suddenly it was sort of ready to go and be launched online and into retail, and it exists now as its own entity. And to be quite honest with you, I feel like I was guided constantly just to keep moving and keep this particular baby, which it is effectively of mine, keep it alive and get it out there.
Definitely.
And so what it does, and what it does for you, I believe, is give exactly what it says on the label. It gives you alchemy. It gives you it's an alchemical recipe created with love, and it gives you vitality. And as far as I understand it and believe, spirulina and chlorella are just simply, and bee pollen are gifts of nature.
Absolutely.
And they give us this massive injection of energy and proteins, and it suits vegetarians and non-vegetarians, and bee pollen is literally magical stuff. So I don't know. I'm just really passionate about the benefits of something like this. That's really only 8 ingredients, and really seriously only 3 in the high amounts. How easy they are to support people who are already super aware, and the ones that are trying to bridge their diets from something that's not very optimal.
Yeah.
And anecdotally, again, I see all the time clients who start taking this, who have eaten KFC and Coca-Cola, and they start taking things like this, and it helps them.
Yeah.
Somehow I get them to start taking green stuff, and that helps them transition. It's like a bridge. So it's either a bridge or it's a support, or it fills in the gaps, or the way I use it is because, I don't have a lot of time, is I just make up a big elixir, and this is the base of it, and most people can take it. So, unless you've got hemochromatosis, too much iron, it's not contraindicated for too many people, and if it is, they would know, because it's a food. So ultimately it's what's called in Australia a formulated functional food. So that's what it gives. I hope I've answered the question.
Absolutely.
In my rambling way.
No, absolutely. And it is exactly as you say. It's just goodness, solidified. It's something that you can access, put into your body, and your body can use it to support itself, whether it's lacking in things or actually whether you eat really well and are really mindful, but it just adds in that extra boost of goodness.
Yeah, I sort of say it in stores and places like that when I'm meeting, strangers live. That kind of the way I think about it, because I kind of view everything in a kind of spiritual way, is that it sits under everything else and it's holding the space for you to function, and so the days that you can't really get your act together to do all the right things, and you can have this, and the days that you just want even more energy, you can take it as well. And really it's these functional foods, because they're foods, it's not something you just take every now and then. It's optimal that you take it on a regular basis, so at least 5 days out of 7. And if you need to get more, as you and I were talking about before you started filming, more zinc or something, then you can go and take the isolated minerals that you need. But this is like an overall support. And all of the ingredients have a protein element, and they all obviously have a various mineral and vitamin element in them as well. And the thing with the algae is that the algae don't need to be digested. I mean, they're pre-digested. So as soon as you drink them, and the broken cell chlorella, as soon as you drink them, they hit your system and they start to work. You can feel it. Like, I can drink it and I feel like it's literally like something to hit my cells, because some days they're very depleted.
Absolutely. And for us in Chinese medicine, it's kind of the biggest blood building, blood nourishing ingredients are those blue green algae and the bee pollen as well. So it's something that we would be always advocating for anyone who kind of has tiredness or gets run down easily or any of those things that, you know, kind of where building the blood and supporting the system is going to be beneficial. So no, it's so good.
Absolutely. I mean, I think maybe, and I mean, you could answer this question. I think sometimes in conditions of dampness or a lot of dampness, one of the algae can be not as advised just for a period of time, but then you can reintroduce it again once you've kind of worked on that. And everybody I come across who've taken the product, they've known that. Their practitioners said, you know, you're taking any of these algae or any of these products and, you know, any of the grasses or whatever it is. And so usually you'll know what is going to work, but for the general population who isn't eating particularly well anyway, it doesn't really matter if they're damp or not, because this is just going to help.
Yeah,
I
it's just
think.
going to put good stuff in anyway, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that sets it apart, I think, is that I'm the only product on shelf that's got bee pollen, which sort of cuts out some portions of the marketplace, but this stuff comes directly to me from the beekeeper. There's these amazing people in West Australia, and it's also one of the well-known brands in Australia, Loving Earth. They stock from the same guy.
Brilliant.
And it's high quality stuff. And Gabriel Cousins, the well-known Ayurvedic living foods expert in America, somehow he's tested this bee pollen, the Jarrah bee pollen, and said it's one of the highest vibrating foods he's ever seen.
Wow.
Now, what that may mean, if you're not, you know, akin to that kind of hippie speak, is that literally bee pollen is still alive. It's actually a live food, and when I get this blended, they don't grind it or anything. They set the sieves specifically so that this pollen doesn't get ruptured, and it basically drops in, and it's still in its whole form. So it's billions of little pieces of pollen from the flowers, which, you know, this is nature's life force.
Yeah, nature's gold.
Beautiful. Yeah. So that's sort of where the alchemy, I think, comes in, is that, you know, having the pollen in there. So I'm pretty passionate about the pollen.
I'm surprised. It's so good. It's just it's literally kind of just brimming with goodness, and incredible. Yeah.
So thank you for asking about it.
No,
so that's kind of one of the main thrusts of what I do, and my passion really is just to get it out there to help people. And that's purely my intention, is to have something that I can offer to the planet that can help them, and in a really easy way. You don't have to go and buy anything. You have to go buy blenders or buy machinery. You just put it in a glass with something that you can make it palatable with. It's fine on its own with water, and you drink it. That's all you've got to do. So there's no heavy lifting involved, kind of thing, and watch it make a difference. So
absolutely.
So yeah.
And apart from all your super blend stuff, you also do workshops and other different things that kind of get that healthy living, healthy eating, you know, what's going in, what's that kind of doing to the body. You kind of spread that message as well. You've got some workshops coming up next month, haven't you?
Yes, this month, I do workshops, and actually they started out as a series of 5, but now I'm only really focusing on 2, and then the flagship one, just like with the product, is Superfoods. Okay. So basically I break down a lot of these ingredients, but a few other ones like cacao, and I talk about the ingredients, but in the style of, it's almost like a dinner party where you're not drinking any wine or getting a chance to talk. So it's like a dinner party setting, and it's all really lovely, you know, well presented. And I pre-prepare all the treats and all the recipes, and then I feed you a meal that incorporates superfoods. And then once the meal's done in the first section of the workshop, then basically you all get the notes, and then I talk you through all of the different superfoods, why they're good for you, you know, as is believed by people like David Wolfe, at least, and you then are tasting the whole time samples of these raw treats, because fundamentally, you know, superfoods, you don't really want to heat them, so you're eating the raw treats and getting a bit high on the cacao, and the piece de resistance is kind of the well-known superfood fudge. And I think, did you have, no, I forgot yours that day. Yeah, and it's 3 hours, and some people kind of call it the Shakti show. It's pretty full on. So, and it's held, I'm doing them in Sydney and Brisbane at the moment, and hopefully in Melbourne in the not too distant future. And there's one in Sydney on May 25, and actually it will be the last one for some time. My schedule's starting to get busier, and I would like to focus more on things like bone broths for gut healing and things like that during the winter.
Oh, brilliant.
So, and I'm also on the soul cooking stage at the Mind Body Spirit Festival in Sydney and Melbourne.
Yes, how exciting!
Yeah. Talking about superfoods. So you get like a mini version of the workshop and get to taste the blend and taste some sort of chocolate or something that I'll invent for that particular event. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds so good. So good. Yeah, I wish I was able to go, yeah.
I'll have to film one for you.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're definitely, it's a great way because I'm so passionate just to be able to share that. And then I have obviously my chefing experience from so long working as a chef to sort of, to sort of help break down food, to make it as easy as possible. But it's not your everyday run-of-the-mill kind of superfood recipes necessarily. So, yeah. So that's
good.
That's what I do. Yeah.
So obviously we were talking before about with the Superfood Blend, how I would look at it in Chinese medicine in terms of nourishing the blood and building the blood like that. And I guess because you work from a kind of more spiritual or perhaps from an Eastern philosophy sometimes with your stuff, is Chinese medicine something that comes into your life or into your work at all?
Oh, heavily, yeah. I mean, I've been getting acupuncture, I want to say, for about 24 years.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I've just aged myself. I was getting acupuncture for the first time in Sydney by a guy that actually used to be do the acupuncture for some famous sports team or something. Wow. And I never forget the first time because I could feel the energy moving through the channels the first time I ever had a needle put into me. I think it's amazing. I think the person that actually cemented this shift for me in Whole Foods and Superfoods was Paul Pitchford.
Yeah.
And Paul Pitchford's quite well known. He has an amazing book called Whole Foods and Healing.
Yeah.
To have the books in the kitchen. But he looks at food through the slant of TCM, and it's amazing stuff. And I do get acupuncture relatively regularly. And as I was just saying to you, I have an amazing guy here in the Central Coast in Kilcare who is an acupuncturist and herbalist, but he also does this thing called ligament therapy that nobody else in Australia does, and it's mind-blowingly good. And the other day I went to see him, and I've got a little bit too much heat leaving my body, so I have a Moxie, my first time ever with a moxibustion stick. So I've actually got like Sharpie texture marks on my leg so I don't forget where they are, which is probably not good. And I have to sit here and burn these little things to activate the points. So, yeah, he just gave it to me and said, I want you to go home and do this. So, I think Eastern medicine, or Chinese medicine and Eastern ways, Ayurveda as well, from the Indian science of healing, I think they're all really important, actually. And if nothing else, to tell you the truth, I would say that they actually influence my view of a lot of this more than I realise.
Yeah, I think I'm exactly the same. I think once you kind of go down that path and it works for you and it makes sense to you and resonates with you, I always say it's like putting on kind of Chinese medicine glasses. You see the world then through that, and you don't realise that that's how you're viewing it, but it certainly does kind of colour all the thoughts and all the things that you do, be it cooking or the way that you look at your health or the way you look at everybody else as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that, maybe it's not a conscious thing, but I'll often find, especially with things like Ayurveda, where they're not dissimilar, Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic healing, I'll say to people, well, that's just, I'm really Vata, so that's not good, or looking at you, there may be this, and, it seems to make sense. I mean, as most of the Chinese medicine doctors I know say, and even Ben would say, this doctor, it's looking at the system. You're looking at the whole. And I'm into whole. I mean, I'm called a holistic chef because I also do healing work. Yeah. I'm a healer in my own right. Yeah. I.e., I don't like that term, but I'm able to practice healing modalities on another person or myself. So it's all about meditation, holistic healing, holistic nutrition. It's the whole. It's not, I can eat the most awesomely perfect diet, but if I'm stressing myself out to the max to do that, then really we're defeating the purpose.
Yeah, it undoes doesn't it?
And if I'm just stressing myself out to the max period, all of the good food's not going to help because the stress is going to create these hormones in my body that won't help me necessarily process this food anyway. And I think sometimes that gets lost. And for me, I'm getting feedback from really kind of people who aren't in any way hippie.
Yeah.
And emails and they're saying, well, Shakti, I love it because I get this spiritual thing. They don't really know what's going on, but, there's just stuff. And there's always a crystal somewhere apparent at somewhere when I'm talking. And I don't know. There's just that filter. And I think that that's important to introduce people to these other ways of being. And obviously the Indian ways is very much so. And the Chinese. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a strong influence of all of those belief systems being bigger than just nutrition or just the medicine itself.
Yeah. We're never looking at just one thing. That's the thing, If you look at one thing, it might do good, but for a small amount of time. You have to look at everything and within the context of the person. So and I think that really comes through with the stuff that you create food-wise as well. You mentioned, actually that kind of healing energy. I think a lot of that does go into your creations as well. Not just kind of going to have a one-to-one healing. I think it comes through in that too. And I think that's important and makes it different too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, and it's funny. Years ago, I worked for quite a powerful Turkish man, and everyone was quite scared of him. And I used to just be a rebel, and I'd make stuff that I wasn't allowed to make and stuff because I knew he'd like it secretly. And when we got to Turkey, they took me. We all went to this island, and they all had to show me all this stuff. And they said, they say that sometimes some people, that there's a translation, you have the food in your hands, you have the food in your fingers. Yeah. And I think that's it. I think if whatever it is that we're doing, including this, it kind of comes through you. Definitely. And so when you're cooking, all of us, we are Shakti, we are the energy, we're energy. We can bring that through and translate that into what it is that we're creating. And then alchemically, again, bring all of those things together to create these foods or these meals or these, whatever it is. Again, I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And so I don't really consciously even think about that anymore. Like literally there's a photo on Instagram of a cake I did last week, and literally we were about to present it to the client for her to blow the candles out, and I was just putting it together and trusting that it would just...
And it was absolutely beautiful. You guys should check it out. It's incredible, considering
but
you just put it
together. If you'd seen it 3 minutes before, you would have gone, oh my God, what's going on here? And I think that's the same with food, and I sort of say that to people, is that if we sort of trust ourselves more, you get the ingredients and don't worry too much about the recipe, and it's that intention, and again, that energy and the healing energy and the intention, that's the good word. That's the intention. It will come through. So, again, I don't know if I'm answering these questions, but yeah.
No, absolutely. And I think it's true. For me, intention and chi and the energy, it's all the same thing, It's they're all intertwined, and it's whether it be in the treatment room when I'm picking up needles or whether it be when I'm creating something in the kitchen, it's all the intention and the chi. So, absolutely. No, it sounds brilliant.
Yeah, that's why it's hard for me, because I have to write the recipes down, and I find that when I actually have to sit down and consciously write them, it loses its magic. Yeah. But then people can't recreate them in a way because I can't write them down. So then I've got all of these notes of recipes that I've written down, but I actually don't know what I did.
Because you're guided, it just comes, and yeah.
Well, that's right, and I don't think we said, but Shakti is my yogi name. I'm a yoga initiated yoga teacher or initiated yogi in a traditional lineage, and they give you a name at the end based on many things, many factors. And Shakti means cosmic energy of the universe, creation. You're Shakti. All the females are Shakti. Shakti. All of the goddesses are Shakti, and Shakti is the creative principle. You know, Shiva is consciousness. Shakti is, yin and yang. So we all have that within us. You know, we all have that energy and that Shakti. So it's just a case of sort of, I suggest to people tapping into that and sort of harnessing that which you already are.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, I'm sounding incredibly like hippie now, but yeah, it's true that
with me. It's fine. So just remind people where they can find you online, Shakti. So on Facebook, Instagram, the website. How can they find you?
So it's all pretty well marched down to just the Holistic Chef.
Yeah.
So either www.theholistichef.com.au. Because there's already a Holistic Chef in America, and then on Facebook, the Holistic Chef Australia, and on Instagram, the Holistic Chef, and Twitter. I don't even know what the handle is because I don't do it. The only time I use Twitter is when I say yes on Instagram to share. Facebook, Instagram. Instagram's really good because you see the things that I'm creating, visually. Facebook's kind of good just to keep up with what I'm doing because I'm not very good with blogging and newsletters. And then my newsletter, it's good to subscribe. Just because you never know, there might be something within that you won't get anywhere else. And then the product can be, for Australian viewers at least, can be bought online via the website or in retail in Queensland, Southeast Queensland and New South Wales currently, and hopefully in Victoria soon. Right. And if anybody who's watching is interested and they have any, stores that they think might be interested in a locally produced and passionately produced product, then flick me a line and we can try and get it into your local store because the more people that get access to it, the better.
So. And it's worth doing because I've had it and it's incredible.
Thank you. It's my pride and joy.
Yeah, and it's been so good talking to you, and it's the passion that comes through, I think, and that's what makes a really good thing as well. It's important, and it's been so lovely speaking to you. So thank you for taking the time to speak to me today.
Oh my gosh, my darling, you're just beautiful and you're so welcome, and I'm honoured to be given the opportunity. It's really special. It only takes what's the saying? It takes one person to move the mountain or sun make it. I don't know. I've lost my profundity. So people like you helping. Share about what both of us are doing and connecting all the other people that we're connecting through social media. I mean, that's my vision and that's my dream and that's my intent and that's my wish. So, thank you for helping and playing your part. I mean, it's really awesome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, as we say, Om Namah Shivaya.